This is an exclusive excerpt from the Stuph File Program with Peter Anthony Holder.
It's time for another retro interview with a celebrity that is no longer with us. This time around, it's a chat I had only just 8 months ago, back in November of 2014, with a legendary actor who sadly left us this past week. Theodore Bikel was a true Renaissance man. He had an illustrious career as an actor that spanned more than 75 years, conquering stage, film, literature, and music. Theodore was working almost right to the end. We had him on the show because the Oscar-nominated, Emmy-winning actor was also the driving force behind the theatrical release of Theodore Bikel in the Shoes of Sholem Aleichem. And there was also his memoir, simply titled Theo, an autobiography. We chatted with him on the line from California. Here is that conversation now. It is a pleasure and an honor to have a chance to talk with you. I don't even know where to begin. You have done so much. So let me start by asking you, is there anything in your career that you haven't done that you still want to?
No, I haven't done ballet, and I don't want to do it because I'm not good at it.
Excellent. Fair enough. I have to mention one of the things you're also known for is you've done shows like Fiddler on the Roof. You've done it both on Broadway. You've done it in a touring company. I actually saw you perform in Fiddler on the Roof when you came to Montreal several years ago. So I want to ask a question about performing both on Broadway and both on tour. Are the audiences different?
Yes, they are and they are not. It depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for the audience reaction, do they react to the same things? Do they laugh at the same places? And are they moved by the same portions of a play? They're alike. They're different because regional differences become evident. There are some people in the South laugh at different places and laugh louder and laugh harder and longer. Jewish audiences tend to laugh at different places, again, because of the familiarity of things, especially when you're talking about a show like Fiddler. So there are differences in when the ethnic makeup of the audience is predominantly Jewish, for example. I could tell, when I was doing Fiddler, I could tell within the first 8 minutes of the play what percentage of the audience is Jewish.
With a career that, as I said, has spanned 75 years, when you first started acting, did you have a vision or a goal or an idea of where your career has gone? In other words, have you been surprised by the directions your career has taken you in the last 75 years?
Thankfully, yes, I have been surprised. I just set out to be a good performer, a good singer, a good conversationalist, an intellectual, a well-read person. I later branched out into places, and of course I'm also a liberal. I come from a socialist home, and my involvement with labor unions and with left-wing politics followed naturally from that. So as a human being, I was involved in causes. As a performer, I branched out into all of the aspects of performing. I started with the theater, which is the most important medium there is. But then I did movies and I did television, and each of them demand a different attitude and different technique. And I'm glad to say that I was able to master them to a degree of professionalism and proficiency that proved to be right.
You mentioned that theater is to you is the most important, and you then transitioned into films. Now, one of the things that you are known for is you also originated the role of Captain Von Tramp on Broadway. I've had the opportunity to talk to some other actors about this as well. I'm just curious to know how you feel about the fact that the opportunity didn't come your way to play that in the film.
Well, I really was. For 5 minutes, I was upset about that, naturally. Yeah. But frankly, it wasn't in the cards, because on stage, the star of the play was Mary Martin, and she was exactly 10 years older than I, which on the stage you can get away with. There was no way that she could play this role in the movie. And since they couldn't take her, they couldn't take me. They're not politic.
You also mentioned the fact that you are politically active as well, and I'm just wondering, especially in this day and age of social media, how would things be different as far as you're concerned? I mean, you've involved yourself in many causes over the years, many controversial causes that sometimes having a certain notoriety, a certain public forum can be helpful to somebody's getting their point of view across. It could also be damaging to one's own career. Were you ever concerned, being so politically active, that it might hurt you as an actor?
No, I was never concerned. You follow your beliefs wherever they lead you, and consequences be damned. You cannot play games with your own intellectual honesty, and you cannot withdraw. For example, if you see injustices and you fight them, and you tread on some toes fighting those injustices, your career may suffer, but I would be not true to myself if I would desist from entering the fight.
I want to talk a little bit about the theatrical release, Theodore Bikel, In the Shoes of Sholem Aleichem. This is a person you're very, very familiar with, having played one of his characters for many, many years. Tell us about this particular film.
Well, my life and the life of Sholem Aleichem intersect on so many levels. In the beginning, of course, when I was a boy, my father read Sholem Aleichem around the dinner table regularly in Yiddish. And we had 36 volumes of collected works on our bookshelves. Then the Nazis came, and in short order, we became refugees, and they confiscated everything we owned, including the books. I tell of this in the film as well. And we had to leave with one suitcase each. And what hurt us most was to have to leave the books behind. And my grandmother actually liberated the books from the clutches of the Nazis by sitting in the anteroom of that warehouse where they were being kept. A warehouse that was marked the enemies of a property of the enemies of the Third Reich. And she wept, she cried. And until that the Gauleiter in charge of that place wrote to one of his minions, "Get that old Jewish woman out of my sight. I don't want to see her anymore. I'll sign off on anything she wants. Just get her out of here." And he did, and she liberated our things. And after heavy payment, they were shipped to us. By that time, we were in Israel, in Palestine. It was then in Tel Aviv, and it arrived in Tel Aviv with swastikas plastered all over the container. And we had them. And then the books traveled on, and then after my father died, I shipped them to Amherst, Massachusetts. Yiddish books were well cared for in that place. And then when I started working on my play and on my film about Sholem Aleichem, I needed them, and I called Amherst, and they sent me the same set of books. So books have legs.
Yes. And it certainly has a very strong history, not only just in history, but within your family as well.
Oh, yes, yes. My father spoke Yiddish. He also spoke brilliantly, spoke Hebrew. And with my mother, I spoke German. We were a polyglot family.
The amazing career you've had is. I also touched on the fact that you have your autobiography out, Theo, and Autobiography. Is it kind of cathartic to look back at your life and put it down on the page?
It was interesting to write the autobiography, and it wasn't very difficult. I wrote in dressing rooms, I wrote on trains, on planes. The only thing that I had trouble with was dates. I frankly had to look myself up to find out what came before what. Other than that, I remember times and I remember places, I remember events, I remember people, but I couldn't remember the sequence of them very well. But luckily in this day and age, the data is kept somewhere.
Well, the legacy of the work that you have put out so far, and I say so far because I'm sure there's more to come, is just absolutely amazing. And I thank you very, very much for taking the time to talk with us on the program.
Thank you for talking to me. I'm looking forward for the movie to be shown in Canada. That's really my next wish and desire, because Canada has always been kind to me, and I'd like to be kind to Canada.
Everybody was kind to Theodore Bikel, not just Canada. The love for him was for not only his acting and singing skills, but also for his humanity. He will be missed. We spoke to him back in November of last year. Sadly, he passed away on Tuesday, July 21st, at UCLA Medical Center at the age of 91.
You've just heard an exclusive excerpt from the Stuph File Program with Peter Anthony Holder. To hear any or all of the full hour-long shows, visit thestufffile.com. Stuph is spelled S-T-U-P-H. That's thestufffile.com. A presentation of Flying Fish Communications.